Today, I'm going to be talking about one of the ways to improve Mexico, and I'm going to be explaining how parents can contribute to this matter. I'm pretty sure that most of the people agree that education is a vital matter for every single person in the world since the 16th century. From this time to the 21st century, we can see that if we are to be successful, we must have some preparation. Most of the people consider education as one of the keys for successful in life. We also concede that in our era, we must be highly prepared in order to answer one of the biggest competitions in the world, which is getting a job. This might sound really dramatic, but as population is still growing, the chances of us getting a well-paid job decreases. The education that I was talking about is called academic education. When I'm saying that the word academic education, I just don't want to talk about people going to school. I want to go further than that. As I said, academic education is considered as one of the keys for success in life. But there is something on each person that triggers the desire for becoming a hardworking person. There is something that inspires us to become whatever we want to become. There is something that let us dream, and these are supposed to be our parents. One of the things that characterize the most a person are the values that our parents once set on us. The importance of the influence of parents on a child is vital. According to the Role of Parents and Teachers in Child Life 2017 page, parents are the first mentors and role models of a child. Children behave, act, and react the same as their parents. A lot of people have worked so hard in their professional career, but what have set them and encouraged them to do this were our parents. Most of the times without them, we wouldn't even be where we're standing right now. So, on basis of why the role of parents is so important page, parents are the responsible for the emotional, physical, cognitive, and social development for the kids, which is crucial for a kid's healthy in a mental and physical way. So how those parents can contribute in order to improve Mexico? So a study in 4 barriers to quality education in Mexico 2017, Vietnam, the poorest children in Vietnam outperforms the wealthiest children in Mexico. So why is this that? This is because parents are lacking interest on their children. They don't care if their children have their success by their own. And they have the belief that children will mature sooner or later, or children will be fine eventually. Based on the page edition of 2012, the manner in which parents model attitudes will have a great impact in their lives. So, based on Valdez Escalante, 80 kids were put on test to see how do they perform on school according to how they live with their parents. So 40 of these children were from parents were divorced, and 4 of these were from a couple where they're together. So here you can see that married parents have children that do so much better than the ones that are divorced. So what I want to say here is that Mexico has it all to become a great country, but everything starts from home. Either you want to become a doctor, a surgeon, an honest lawyer, or even a criminal, everything starts from home. Mexico needs well-cultivated kids. And as Anonymous author once says, your children will become what you are. So be what you want them to be. Thank you.
We all need a coach. Whether you are a basketball player, a soccer player, or a football player, we all need people that can give us feedback. Because feedback is the primary source for improvement. It tells us what we're doing well, what we're doing wrong, or what we could do better. Feedback comes from being tested, observed, and evaluated. Nowadays, a group of people doing one of the most important jobs in the world is being given little to no feedback: teachers. Today, I would like to discuss why teachers should be evaluated in Mexico to better its quality of education, and therefore better the youth's opportunity to succeed. First, I'm going to tell you what the evaluation consists on. Then, the impact this type of evaluation has had in other countries. And finally, why Mexico should opt for this kind of evaluation. According to the Center of Research on Learning and Teaching and the Virginia Board of Education, there's a certain criteria that teacher evaluation must follow. This is condensed into 4 stages. The first of one, professional knowledge. This is examining the professors to see if they are academically qualified to be giving a class. Then is instructional planning and delivery. This is basically the way the professor gives a class and how well the students are receiving the information. And because the world is ever changing and new methodologies are always arising, the next criteria is that professors must be up to date. This means that they must be able to give their students the 21st century skills that they need to succeed in today's world. Finally, there's student growth. Student growth is the academic progress the students have had based on their grades. But you might be wondering, does this actually work? Well, to better illustrate this, let's talk about the Program for International Student Assessment, or PISA. This is a standardized test that's given to all the students in each country to assess the country's quality of education. The countries that always come top 3 are Singapore, Hong Kong, and Japan. And what do these countries have in common? Well, all of them have teacher evaluations. So now, let me show you a comparison between 2 countries, Finland and Chile. Finland has gone down several places in the ranking since it stopped evaluating its teachers. It's in number 8 when it used to be in the top 5. And Chile has gone up several places since 2006 when it started evaluating its teachers. And it's at the top of almost all of the Latin American countries. This is based on research made by Leria Ventura for BBC Mundo. And where's Mexico in all of this? Well, Mexico is ranked 71 out of 187 countries in quality of education. And you might be thinking it's not that bad, but Mexico is only over some of the poorest countries in the world that have almost no access to education. So it's not that well. And Mexico has made no changes in its educational system. And this is mostly due to the fact that professors oppose these changes. But they have to remember that this type of evaluation is given for them. It's to give them the tools to be better teachers and so they can be better role models for their students. And also, teacher evaluations would only cost about 2% of the current spending on salaries and benefits for teachers. This is based on a research made by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for Education. Teacher evaluations should be imparted to all schools, but most importantly, public schools. This is because 89% of the student population in Mexico attends public schools. Mexico youth has a lot of potential, but it deserves qualified teachers to give them the tools to succeed and give them everything they need to make a better Mexico. We should invest in the future of Mexico and in the future of our students. Because if we want to be at that top 3 in the rankings all across the board, we should help our students and give them the education that they deserve. Thank you.
The birds and the bees talk can be a cringe-worthy moment for kids and parents, but it's a really important topic to talk about. In Mexico and in many other parts in the world, teen pregnancies and STDs are a serious health problem, and despite all the public policies designed to reduce it, it continues itself, and even in earlier ages. Parents have been arguing over the years about if sex education should be taught in schools. Their main argument because it's their job and school isn't a place to talk about sex. Mexico can become a better country if we include sex education in the educative system, because not only will the kids be informed about sex and sexuality, but they'll be informed in a professional and accurate way. Today, I'm going to talk about sexual education and the topics it needs to cover, the age or grades in school, and how sex education should be taught in each grade, and the benefits of sex education in schools. According to plannedparenthood.org, sex education gives you tools and motivation to make healthy choices about sex and sexuality. Sex education continues to be an unfinished business in curricular systems because it continues to be an unfinished business in our curricular systems when we need to include it more because of sex. Ya valí, me hice bolas. The birds and the bees talk can be a cringe-worthy moment for kids and parents to talk about, but nevertheless, it's an important topic. In Mexico and in many other countries around the world, teen pregnancies and STDs are a serious health problem, and despite all the public policies designed to reduce it, it continues to manifest itself, and even in earlier ages. For a long time, parents have been against sex education in schools, arguing that it's their job. ¿Se escuchó? The birds and the bees talk can be a cringe-worthy moment to talk about for kids and parents, but nevertheless, it's an important topic. In Mexico and in many other countries in the world, teen pregnancies and STDs is a serious health problem, and despite all the public policies designed to reduce it, it continues to manifest itself, and even in some cases in earlier ages. For a long time, parents have been arguing about if sex education should be taught in schools, and their main argument is that it's not the school's job, and school is not the place to talk about sex. Mexico can become a better country if we include sex education in our educative system. Today I'm going to talk about what is sex education, the topics that it should cover, the age and grades, and how, depending on the age and grade, how sex education should be taught, and the benefits of sex education in schools. According to plannedparenthood.org, sex education helps people in providing them tools and helps them and motivates them to make healthy choices about sex and sexuality. Sex education continues to be unfinished an unfinished business in curricular systems, and it is necessary for us to change that, because sex education can provide us knowledge to disseminate to real social issues, which are violence against women and sexual violence. According to Sex and Health Arosky Consumer article, the topics that should be covered when giving sexual education is transmission of globalized and positive vision of human sexuality, knowledge of one's body and its possibilities as a receiver and producer of pleasure. And then there also should be ways to enable changes in attitudes, behaviors, and values about human sexuality. And of course, how to prevent unplanned pregnancies and STDs. And according to the website about kids' health, quality sex education should start in kindergarten and in early elementary grades. Kids need to learn in these grades the proper names of their body parts, the difference between good touch and bad touch, and ways in how they can become good friends. Learning how to be good friends is the foundation, the base of healthy, intimate relationships later on in their life. Fourth and fifth graders should need information about puberty and the changes that their bodies are going to present, and also internet safety and bullying, and how to prevent bullying and the harmful impact bullying can make. In 7th and 8th and 9th grade, these students are ready to receive information about body image, reproduction, abstinence, contraception, HIV, and other sexual transmitted diseases. And the most important, how they can make healthy relationships. Young people have the right to lead healthy lives, and with sexual education, this is basically the foundation for them to become sexually healthy adults. According to an investigation presented in El Universal, Mexico ranks #1 for teen pregnancies amongst countries of an Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. A study made by this organization published last year reports that between 2005 and 2011, the teen pregnancy rate in Mexico went from 30 to 37 women for every 100 women. The increase in this case has raised many red flags in all government levels. According to the Excelsior, currently sex education should be broader, and it needs to motivate adolescents and young adults to make healthy decisions about sex and sexuality. Several international studies prove that investing in sexual education of the population of secondary schools and high schools can change the landscape of a nation in many aspects. First of all, we could decrease unwanted pregnancies at early ages and prevent sexually transmitted diseases. We can also improve the sexual practices, because it reduces the number and types of couples, and in addition, it helps in family communication, because there's a bond created where there's trust, and you can talk about certain things like sex without feeling embarrassed. Sexual education also helps generations to learn how to exercise, how to have a responsible reproduction. Overall, sexual education is the base of a prepared generation, where they know their bodies and they know how to reproduce themselves responsibly and having sexual practices without conceiving people or transmitting diseases. And this is an important thing we should incorporate in Mexico's education. Thank you.
If right now I were to take you on a walk through the streets of Mexico, of Querétaro, why go far? What would you see, and how could we fix this crude reality? Unfortunately, the one thing that stands out everywhere we go in Mexico is the amounts of trash we see in the streets and even in green areas. According to the INEGI, the National Institute for Statistics and Geography, and as mentioned in the Mexico News Daily, the average garbage produced in Mexico is 1 kilo per person a day, ranking Mexico amongst the greatest producers of trash in the planet, not just in the continent, but in the planet. According to the article, Environmental Impacts of Packaging in the US and Mexico, released by the Tufts University, packaging represents half of municipal waste in Mexico. Even the UN, in a press release at their headquarters on May 2010, has accepted the fact that developing nations must move towards a more trash-free society. So, to answer my first question, I must sadly say, trash. Trash is the one thing that stands out everywhere we go in Mexico, inclusive Querétaro. The solution to this problem is quite clear. We must follow the call of the current president of Chile, who in the UN Assembly called for other countries to, as she called, assume this responsibility with the environment. Chile became the first country to ban plastic bags in their coast, but this is not enough for us. We must take it a step farther and ban all single-use plastic products, which account for the majority of the trash produced in the country. We must start by encouraging people to bring their own bags when shopping and to start a trend of taking the unnecessary wrap from the food and leave them in the store. Why? To encourage the stores to take action. Because together we can move mountains. Because together we can move mountains, we must encourage our government to take the action they have been evading. Imagine a Mexico, a clean Mexico. If you can't imagine a clean Mexico, let me help you. Just imagine thousands of people around the country fighting for one common purpose: to save our planet, to see our streets clean for future generations to enjoy, for the salvation of the species that represent our planet, for humanity. And if you can't imagine a clean Mexico, then imagine us as the new India, full of trash, catastrophe, disease, poverty in numbers that will never be diminished. Imagine hell on earth, as some Hindus call it. It is time we listen to what Mahatma Gandhi once said: be the change you wish to see in the world. It is time to raise up and let our government know that we will not stop fighting for a cleaner environment, for a cleaner Mexico. By boycotting the single-use plastic industry, we will ensure a brighter future for generations to come. So today, I tell you, raise up and fight with us for a cleaner Mexico. Thank you.